Welcome back to Hannity. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, in for Sean, who is off for the Memorial Day holiday. Damaging government leaks continue to cause headaches for the White House. The president's son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner, is the latest target. The mainstream media is nuts with wall-to-wall coverage over reports that Kushner is under FBI scrutiny in the Russia investigation. Watch this.
I am on meds that make me out of it. I apologize for neither looking nor sounding nor being my best. But, you know, once in a lifetime, this story. When I got the call about this news, I really wanted to come in because I think this is important.
It seems to me that the key to understanding Jared Kushner is that, like his father-in-law, he is an incredibly self-interested, greedy, self-serving, and kind of amoral figure. He is, these are really bottom-feeding, sinister figures. And one of the great tricks, I think, that Jared and Ivanka play on the world is that because they're so elegant looking, because they're so poised, people tend to conflate that with some kind of innate decency. This is a gangster family.
I don't have enough confidence in Donald Trump to keep his stupid mouth shut and not obstruct justice or tamper with the witness when the witness is his son-in-law.
What are they saying to explain that they're the crown prince of the White House, the son-in-law, who sits next to the president every day, the fact that he's under scrutiny now? How are they explaining that or denying that or what?
And earlier today, Bloomberg's Eli Lake put out a new column with the headline, quote, "Trump's allies convicted of high crimes without a trial." Well, that pretty much sums up exactly what we've seen going on in the media. And joining us now with reaction, former Congressman and Fox News contributor Dennis Kucinich. From the Hill, Joe Concha, and Fox News contributor Doug Schoen. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. I mean, wow, hello. Shock and awe, a couple of those clips, right? Doug, can you even explain this?
Yeah.
This derangement?
There's a criminal investigation going on. As far as we now know, it's on General Michael Flynn and Paul Manafort. Jared Kushner is apparently a person in interest. We have a long way to go in the investigation. We don't know if there will be any charges against anyone. Certainly what General Flynn is alleged to have done could well be criminal, but we're at the start. Nobody's convicted. Nobody should be. And in the interest of fairness, the leaks are very disturbing and disquieting and should be investigated as well.
Okay, and Joe, you know, when we look at this, we also need to know the time frame, because if they're saying it was interference with the U.S. presidential election, then conversations that happened prior to the election, that's one section, but any kind of conversations that happened after the election has nothing to do with collusion with Russia about the election.
That makes total sense.
Right?
Right. Look, the journalism side is gone in journalism. It's all about business now. It's all about clickbait. Let me explain that to the audience. That's like bait and switch in business, where you have a headline, in this case, that draws the reader in, and then the content is something completely different. So in this case, Washington Post headline was, Jared Kushner now a focus in Russian investigation. But if you read the story, you got to go 5 paragraphs down, and the Post says the Post has not been told that Kushner is a target or the central focus of the investigation, and he has not been accused of any wrongdoing.
Exactly.
So it drew me in only to say that he's not the focus when the headline said he was the focus. Clickbait.
All right. So, Dennis, what do you make of this situation? I mean, it really got pretty hysterical last night and even today in terms of, name calling to the family. They're sinister. They're bottom feeders, like all kinds of craziness. How is this advancing in any way American democracy and political discourse?
Well, it doesn't, and I don't think it plays very well with the American people. What you see here is the politicization of the FBI with these leaks. And what it's doing is it's tainting any investigation. There's no objectivity here. And it hurts the FBI. But there's another thing, too, which people in the media ought to pay attention to. Go back to a 1966 Supreme Court case, Shepard versus Maxwell, which showed that prejudicial publicity was used to overturn a conviction, and they saw violations of the First Amendment, of the Sixth Amendment right to the fair trial, and of the 14th Amendment due process. So there's a legal process that is being usurped here by a very, very invective politics.
It's pretty unbelievable. And one of his attorneys, Jamie Gorelick, Doug, has also released a statement saying that Jared Kushner will cooperate like he has in the past, that they have not been contacted by, anyone saying that he is the subject or a target of the investigation, and no evidence thus far of wrongdoing.
All true and all important to say, and what Dennis Kucinich said is exactly right. We got to get rid of the politicization of the FBI. But I would underscore, we do need to have an investigation of what did or did not happen. And the fact that there's no evidence now doesn't mean that there won't be evidence of wrongdoing. And I focus on General Flynn, who had unauthorized contact with the Russians, was working for the Turks at a time when he was also the national security designate of the President of the United States. There are real issues to investigate, but let's not rush to judgment.
Right. And again, it's so important, Joe, to have, the due process and, like Dennis mentioned, to make sure we can have a full and fair and impartial hearing, get to the bottom of this. Of course, it's what the American people deserve. But
Kimberly,
trying to do these red herrings, it makes no sense.
Well, Kimberly, we have to be aware of the impact of prejudicial publicity. And for the FBI to participate in these leaks actually would destroy any case that they would try to build. So this is really a wrong approach. It's damaging to our Constitution. It hurts our country. And the FBI ought to get back to the basic work of doing investigations without trying to convict people through rumors, innuendo, and leaks.
Absolutely, because they're not making any forward progress here, Joe, in terms of they already had the problems under Comey and with the Hillary Clinton investigation, and now this is unseemly, for the FBI.
And this is being all done through unnamed sources. Every New York Times and Washington Post report. Now, here's the thing about unnamed sources that people at home don't like. They don't know the motives of these sources. They don't know the credibility of these sources. They don't know the access that these sources have to the president's inner circle. The New York Times is a style guide. It's a rule book that says anonymity should be the last resort. It has become the first resort in journalism in 2017 because it's all about clicks and retweets instead of being accurate and being professional and having integrity.
Yeah, and Doug, this really emphasizes the point, what we've seen in some of this polling and everything, which is that the general, American public distrusts the media and thinks that they are not being given the truth, that people are hiding behind this anonymity, and it really cheapens the information that's available.
Two quick points, Kimberly. First, Donald Trump got the biggest amount of applause on the campaign trail when he attacked the media.
Right.
One other point that I don't think has been made is that Mr. Gianforte, the congressman-elect in Montana, may well have picked up support because he body slammed a British journalist.
He raised $100,000 as a result of that.
I just think that may well have helped him, and that's very sad that we're in that kind of an adversarial situation. Very sad indeed.
Yeah, I think it's an important point because we saw this unfold last night, on the air in terms of the election results coming in. People thought maybe he was going to take a hit. It turns out to be, quite the opposite, at least.
But I love the narrative that Trump somehow made Gianforte do it. Look, reporters have been attacked for a long time, well before Donald Trump, including by a guy named Alec Baldwin, who plays Trump on Saturday Night Live. Used to beat the crap out of reporters here in New York on a regular basis, and no one talks about that.
No, it's really too much of a stretch.
We don't want violence against people in the media, though. We don't want that.
It is
absolutely
uncalled for. I totally agree with you.
Absolutely not. I don't want to be quoted as supporting it.
No,
it's just that it doesn't engender ill will the way it probably ought to in a balanced and fair society.
Well, we can always count on Dennis Kucinich to be the voice of reason and civility. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen.